set for Brax. And Brax could be in trouble here.
Doing. Give me my money! Give me my money! Damn!
What's up, guys? Just a quick intro. We're going to be playing at Johny's today in this video. It's going to be a 1-2-5 game on Sunday. It's usually the big game in the room. It's going to be very deep stack, lots of big pots.
1,000.
1,000 to go.
It's like one of the best games you can possibly play in. If you haven't played at Johny's on a Sunday yet, you've got to get in there. And you're about to see what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you don't enjoy this video, then you just don't enjoy poker, I'm pretty sure, because this shit gets off the chains. Okay, so I've opened to 30 with king, queen of clubs, out of position. The rock defends. Got about $60 in the middle. And when we flop a board like this, where it's static but wet, I take a big size. And the main thing is just want to build a bigger pot with a strong draw. And we can get a lot of like ace highs and stuff to just fold on the flop. And now on the turn, I do like an old school trick where you just bet the same amount. And this is kind of a thing where when you're going against passive players, you can kind of just price yourself into your own draw. And they're not going to raise enough, so you just like, you know your bet's going to make money. Now on the river, we've actually got there, made a flush. And he has about $275 behind. So I consider all in, but I decided to take a size that I think I can get called by a jack pretty much every time. This guy's pretty sticky. So I go 200. And he snaps, and he does actually have a flush, so we definitely could have stacked him. So we left 75 bucks out there, but I wasn't really targeting a flush. We have two clubs, and he will have a lot of suited hands, so it might make sense to target the flush. But I was going for more of a jack plus flush range of wanting to get called. I'm not sure if that's better, but that was my thought process in that spot. So now we've got ace king off. We make it $20. 3 callers, we're out of position, $80 in the pot. Board comes ace 10-7 with a flush draw. I'm gonna be checking a lot out of position here and just seeing what happens. Cause say it goes like bet raise or something like that, we can actually get away from our hands. This is a board that they're gonna have like 2 pair and things like that. But when it goes all in for 60 and then a snap call, now I'm like, okay, I think I wanna raise because I wanna get this guy that put it all in for 60 heads up. And like if he has his beat, he has his beat, whatever. But we're not folding to that guy. But if you just call, then you kind of like let everyone realize their equity if they have like a gut shot or, you know, anything. I decided to put this guy all in, the snap called the 60. So that's why I make it 350, because that's what he has. He folds. So we do get it heads up. That's the beauty of it, is you get people to fold like open-ended or a flush draw. Like this guy said he had a flush draw. So you got him to fold like 30-something% equity, which is awesome. You know, so now you just heads up with this guy. This guy's pretty passive, so I'm not 100% sure we have the best hand, but he was also short stacked. So I go ahead and show the ace king, and it's looking like we're good. But then he shows ace 5, and he hit the river for 2 pair. And he's gonna scoop, what was that, $260 pot. And now the button has opened to $20, and this is a pretty wild player. He's probably opening almost any 2 from the button. So ace jack of hearts is gonna be a 3-bet for value. And so we make it 90 out of position. And you can flat, but I like building the pot even out of position against a player like this. And also, you drive out the other player's equity. They have to fold their hands. If you flat and they come along behind, you're out of position, it's hard to realize your equity, and which also makes it hard to win the hand, right? Without actually just making the best hand. And even sometimes making the best hand, you can lose because you can end up folding, you know? So getting it heads up is just gonna help a lot in a situation like this, when you know you're crushing this guy's range. And he thinks about it for a second, and then he does put in the call. And so we're going heads up to about $185 pot. And the flop does come queen 9-5 with 2 clubs. It's a pretty terrible flop for our hand. It's not like terrible for our range. It's not great either, but what I'm going to be doing a lot in these 3-bet pots out of position against most player types is just going for a small, like 1/3 size bet with pretty much my whole range. And when I say my whole range, that doesn't mean that I'm just like betting air. Like my range is strong, you know, like I have over pairs, sets, top pairs, good flush draws, good straight draws. Like I have a lot of really good hands. Just because I say I'm betting my range doesn't mean that it's like I have a bunch of bad hands. Like it's going to be a lot of really good hands. We get a 4 on the turn, which is basically a brick. So I have 2 options, either keep bluffing or check. And I actually check, and I was actually considering calling down my ace high against a player like this. He's really wide pretty wild post, bluffs a lot, and also really sticky. So against that player type, when we make a jack on the river, I actually kind of feel like we have the nuts, because I think against a player like this, he knows his image. Like he's smart enough that he knows that we know that he bluffs a lot. So if he ever has a queen, he's going to try to get 2 streets of value. Like he's not ever going to check it back and trap it. Like because he knows that his image is going to get him called a lot. So he's going to go for value with the queen. So when he checks back the turn, his range is going to be mostly showdown value, which is like a pair or like ace high or whatever. So when he has a showdown value type hand, I think our worst option is going to be to check. Because it's like you might think, oh, check because he bluffs a lot. But he checked back the turn. So he's actually not going to have many bluffs anymore. He's going to have showdown value. So when I hit the jack on the river and I think that he bets most of his queens, we have almost the effective nuts. Like, obviously, yeah, he could have like hit a gut shot or something, or hit some weird like jack 9. Like, yes, it's possible. But overall, I think if we check, he's just going to check back a lot. So I think we have to value bet this river. And then the question is just how big do we go? And you kind of have to just look at your line and like, we bet tiny on the flop and then check the turn on a flush draw board. So what are we repping if we bet small? If we bet small, we can be repping like pocket 10s, a jack, a queen, you know, maybe that decided to get tricky on the turn. There's like a few things that we can rep with a small bet. And I would expect to get called a lot. But what are we repping with a big bet? Not much. We're repping like aces, kings, queens that decided to bet small and then check the turn. Unlikely. Or pocket jacks, right? Or maybe like king 10 that checked the turn and has now made a straight. So betting big doesn't make a lot of sense from the opponent's perspective. So I would expect to actually get hero called a lot on this run out. And so I actually decided to go for a big bet for value against this player type, and we'll see what happens.
All in.
All in.
And so I put it all in for, I believe, about $327. So he says jacks is crazy. And that's the point, is like this line doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm basically saying I have jacks or some weird hand that is played weird. And like he's thinking in his head, like, you know, he knows, like, if I'm him, it's like, oh, I'm a station. Why would he play his hand like this if he had a strong value hand, right? So we do get the call. And after that tank, I'm almost certain my jack's good. I say I got a jack and he just instant mucks. So we actually get a full stack with second pair top kicker, which is pretty sick value here. And that's what it's all about, is like just knowing your opponent and knowing kind of the way that they think. And that can get you into some spots like this where you can really get paid. Okay, so we picked up kings on the button. That same wild player has made it $20 out of position. We 3-bet to 70. You just have to be 3-betting this hand. I mean, I'd be 3-betting a lot more than this, but you just got to be making the pot bigger in position. And he's going to be pretty sticky pre-flop. And we do get a really nice flop, king high. So we make top set. There is a flush draw. And this is a board that's kind of weird with the flush draw and 2 low cards. You can check or go for a really big bet. With 2 kings, I kind of like checking, but it's, I don't know. I guess this guy actually might be better to just go for the big bet, honestly. Now we get the turn card, which brings in the flush, but we're not checking twice. Okay, once he checks, he pretty much never has a flush, so we've got to go for some value. I will say this is a scarier turn card. So I do depolarize. This allows us to bet like all of our underpairs, queens, jacks, tens, etc., and our king X, all for this size. You could also use a big size. If you use a big size, basically you're saying you have ace king plus that checks the flop, or a flush, right? Which would be the plus, but you know. Then on the river, we now get a 7 of clubs, which brings a one-liner and the flush is there. But I'm still gonna go for value, dude. I got top set. This guy could have a 4, but I just think he's gonna lead sometimes. And even if he doesn't, like, we just have a value bet. This guy's real sticky. And it actually makes it a little bit more likely that I get called on a river like this, because it's like, okay, you 3-bet pre-flop, and now there's a one-liner to a straight. Like, are you really value betting a king anymore? You know, at this point, I don't have any of those underpairs or even really a king. I'm basically saying I have a flush in his eyes. And he's like, okay, you check the flush draw on the flop and then bet small on the turn when you got there. You know, so it's pretty hard to believe in his spot. I get that. So not going to be super surprised if he does call. And he does call. And we have top set, and it's good, so he mucks. So we bring in, what, a $540 pot? Not bad. Not bad. We'll take it for a board like that, you know. Okay, so same wild dude opens at 25. We defend the rock, queen 9 offsuit. This is not a defend pre-flop. This should be a fold, but I just kind of wanted to give this guy some action. We were both just getting after. He was giving me action, I was giving him, so it's just like a table dynamic thing, nothing wrong with that, but overall it is a fold pre. So we flop 10-8-4 rainbow, which is not bad. We flop a gut shot, and against this kind of player type, he's pretty wide. Our queen and our 9 could be live outs too, so we could have up to like 10 outs, which is like 40%. Also, there's implied odds if you hit your gut shot that he might bluff, or he might actually have a strong hand, so definitely don't fold the flop. King on the turn, not a good card, because now if he was ever bluffing with like something that had like some sort of king high, he's now got there. Our queen is no longer a clean out. We're just basically drawing to exactly a gut shot. So depending on his bet size, you probably just fold here. And there's about, what, 110 in the middle? So he goes 75, which is honestly big enough that you should just be folding here. If we're talking about just pure advice, wouldn't float here with a gut shot. But like I said, this guy's been giving me action, so I decided to give him some action too. And I come along, not expecting to win this hand too often. And we do hit the jack on the river, which is, honestly, I felt bad about it. Like, when it came, I was just like, man, this is like not fair. This kid was just not running very good. So it doesn't even seem fair to win this pot, honestly. But I will say, he can show up here with like ace queen that like picks up the gut shot on the turn and just keeps barreling. In reality, you shouldn't be that worried about it, especially against a player type like this. I pretty much decided I was going to raise unless he overbet. And he does overbet. So I end up just calling. But even against an overbet, you should definitely just be raising, because more than likely he's not going to have ace queen. He's going to have something like king king would make a lot more sense. King jack make a lot more sense. King 10 makes a lot more sense. So you just want to be raising against a very strong range like that when you have the nuts. I mean, this is effectively the nuts. I mean, we're pretty deep, so it sucks if I like raise and get jammed on and get stacked, you know, because it's like, oh, you hit the perfect card and then you get stacked, which it does happen, especially with hands like this. But it may have even just been like a feel bad thing to where I didn't raise and I just called. But if you end up in this situation, don't be afraid to raise. That's definitely, I mean, this you should be going for the max here, 100%. And he actually shows up with aces, so man, apologies, brother. I'm sorry, but I will say I don't really like his really big size with aces there. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, because I'm going to show up with a lot of 2-pair and straights and stuff on that river. Okay, so pre-flop, this guy opens over here on the left. He's a pretty tight player. So I expect a pretty strong range. I've actually seen him limp 10-10 from out of position. Doesn't necessarily mean he's always limping that hand, but it does mean that his open is going to be pretty strong. And then the wild guy we've been playing with all night calls, and then another player calls that we want to get involved with. So when we have the rock also, which gives us a $5 discount. So it's 15 to us to win like what is it, 65. I still think it might be a fold, honestly, because this first guy's range is so strong. But we do want to play with these other two players, and I'm also just like kind of getting involved because it's a fun table, it's a loose table, we're all having a good time. Not trying to sit here and like knit it up all day, you know. So we do get in there, 9-10 offsuit. And the flop comes queen of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 9 of hearts. Okay, so we've got bottom pair open-ended with a diamond. It's not the worst board for our hand, actually. You know, we have a lot of equity here. And then he comes out and bets $30 into 3 people. So about a 1/3 size bet. So my brain is already thinking that this might not be the strongest range, because I'm thinking like 2 pair plus probably goes bigger on a wet board like this most of the time. Doesn't mean always. So like I just call and we'll see what he does on the turn. If he sizes up the turn, then all of a sudden things have changed. But he actually goes for 60, which is another 1/3 size bet in the 2 players. And this is a brick turn. So I would just really expect him to size up here, and I think he should size up here with his straights and his 2 pair plus and everything, because our range is going to be pretty inelastic. Like, we're going to have some big draws, and even if we fold something like that, that's good for him out of position. So I really think it's a mistake to go this size, and then player pull like this, you should just be going bigger. But anyway, he goes 60, and now I've pretty much decided that I think he only has like a 1 pair type hand or some sort of draw. Like say like jack 10, queen 10, king queen, ace queen, aces kings, something like that. That's like kind of afraid but wants to get some value. And so I decide I'm pretty sure that I can get any of those hands to fold on the river. Notice I said on the river. So I'm raising the turn, but it's not like an unsuccessful bluff if he calls the turn. You don't have to get the fold on the turn. He can call and then fold the river, and now you've actually made an extra $200. Yeah, but you just increase your fold equity a lot more when you've raised at some point, instead of just like waking up on the river with a big bet, right? So he calls fairly quickly, and honestly seems pretty comfortable. So I would say he has a pretty strong hand, but I still think it's going to be more of those like big flush draw or like aces, kings, ace king, ace queen, something like this, right? That's what I'm expecting his range to look like. And I feel very confident that I can get him to fold that on the river. Because if he calls, we're going to be looking at about an $800 pot, and I can shove for about 1,000. And it's just going to be extremely hard to call any 1 pair hand. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, if you're calling a 1 pair hand on the river for that amount, then you're just going to be losing at 1-2. So both players called. So when both players call, it's kind of unfortunate because it makes the pot bigger, which is going to make him a little stickier on the river. He's going to be getting a little better price. The pot's going to be bigger. He's going to be more attached to it. Also, it kind of kills our equity a little bit because we could have bluffed like diamonds, but now that this other guy has called, there's a very good chance that one of them has diamonds. So we can't really bluff diamonds anymore. So it's actually pretty unfortunate that this guy called. But a brick river, I actually don't hate, because it's like I said, we're just trying to get 1 pair to fold, and it shouldn't have helped this guy at all. So let's see what happens. So the first guy checks, and now it's on this guy, and he tanks forever, and then he's finally going to check. And when he goes for like the super tank check, more than likely he was thinking about bluffing himself. So you don't really ever have to worry about this guy calling you. So now you just have to worry about getting through the first guy. And so you'll see me take a little bit of time before I bet, but I've already decided on the turn that unless I got a really bad river, I was going to be bluffing the river. So like my decision's already been made.
1,000.
1,000's about
$1,000 American. This should work a lot. If you're facing $1,000 bet on the river at your local 1-2 game, you should be folding unless you have the nuts, okay? And now he's tanking. You just never get the snap fold. You know, it's just never a snap fold. It's always a tank. It's like, come on, man. Give me a break. For the love of God, fold. The longer they tank, the worse it is. Any calls?
One pair.
Good for you, buddy. Enjoy it. Don't spend it all in one place. Set of jacks. Fantastic. Set of jacks. Yeah, count your chips, bud. It's unfortunate, but for learning experience, I play this guy again. I now know that he's not really telegraphing his hand strength with his bet sizes in the multi-way pot, right? Because what we thought about his range is obviously not true, because he shows up with a set of jacks with a very strong hand. So my bet can still be good if he's taking the same size with all those other hands that we were targeting, because he's going to have way more of those than he is these really strong ones. But where my bet could be bad is if, say, he takes those one pair hands and he finds a check with those. If he's checking with those hands but betting the 1/3 with these strong hands, then all of a sudden my bet is torching and really bad. So it's risky to assume you know someone's range and go for really hard exploits based on like bet sizings and things like that. It can make you a lot of money, but if you're wrong, then it can cost you a lot of money. So that's why exploits, it's a fine line, you know. You need to be really sure that you know what you're seeing, you know, and be really confident in your read. Now what's happened is the table basically broke. We were down to 4-handed for a while. Fourth guy got stacked. Then we were 3-handed for a while. Third guy got stacked. So now it's just me and this guy. I asked him if he wants to keep playing heads up, and he says, yeah, this is the second time we've actually done it, me and this guy. Dude likes to gamble, and I'm the type of guy, man, like, pretty much until the table breaks, I'm just gonna be playing. That's just the way I am. I'm a sicko, bro. I love the game. So yeah, if he wants to play, I'm gonna play. And that's pretty much just the way I am. So it's just me and this guy heads up, and let's see how this goes. So at first it's 1-2. I recommend upping the blinds because otherwise it's just gonna be hard to put money in. You know, we're fairly deep.
5-10.
He agrees to 5-10. So we're playing 5-10 heads up, and immediately pick up queen 10 of spades, which is like very premium heads up. And this is a very loose dude that he's gonna see flops. So we go ahead and we make it 50. And he calls heads up. And we get a pretty bad board for our hand. I honestly don't mind betting. And just because we're just going to realize our equity, our 2 overs are good most of the time. We have backdoors.
75.
And I think betting would actually be better because he goes really big. So we can actually probably fold this hand already. But I just know that this is probably a hand that wants me to fold. Like a bottom pair type of hand. So I feel like I can get him to fold on a lot of runouts. And plus we actually do have some equity against those hands, obviously. Turn comes a deuce and it goes check, check relatively quickly. And we get a beautiful king on the river, which does not improve our hand, but maybe the best card in the deck for us to bluff on, right? So I go 200 into 250, and then he does think about it for a while. And then he does find the fold. And he tells us that he had a 5, which is basically about what we thought he had, right? And just think about it from his perspective, like, this is just... It's just really gross to like have to call 200 on the river with a 5, you know? You have a king? Not exactly. Then I told him I had pocket queens because I just, you know, I want to make sure he feels good about his fold. So after the queen 10 of spades hand, we actually play heads up for about 30 minutes leading up to this final pot. Pick up 6-6 in the big blind.
We could go to a smaller one, but I'm saying like the biggest one.
He's a pretty passive player, so he makes it 45 pre-flop, and this is already going to be a pretty strong range. So now we're pretty much just calling to set mine. And he can still have like ace, kings, king, queens, like big broadways, so we can still have the best hand for sure.
I think it'd be cool, like.
And we do flop king, queen, 6, which is fantastic. He bets $30, and so you definitely want to raise here. because you just don't want to like call and then give him the option to like, you know, trap like a good hand on the turn. So you definitely have to take the betting lead against a player like this. And I just go small. You just basically want to be able to be the one betting the turn is the main thing. And you also reopen the action to allow him to like spaz and do something, which is actually what transpires. He says all in, we snap it off. Show the sixes. He shows king, queen. We just gotta dodge 4 outs, and we do.
It's a 6 flop.
And we're gonna scoop him to finish off the night. And I believe that was about $1,000 pot to end it. What's up, guys? So you just watched Sunday at Johnny's. I'm a little late getting this video out. I actually just went on a little trip with my girlfriend, and now I'm actually stuck in Florida because we've got inclement weather. We got a freezing rain and stuff in Texas. I'm gonna be here for a little longer than I expected, actually, but pretty crazy session. Was up 1,000 pretty early, and then I believe down about 800 at one point after that $1,000 bluff. Ended up back up about $800. So swingy session, not like an amazing result or anything, but it was pretty cool session. Lots of nice hands. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, just remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.